What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions in Dungeons and Dragons. And with me this week is Fall and Elliot Ryan. Hello.
Hi.
See,
Good to be here again.
I caught Elliot off guard because the last time I made him and Tom introduce each other because I didn't know what to do because I realized I hadn't thought that far ahead. But this time, I just said it. For folks who may not know who the two of you are, who are you for the fine folks who may not know?
I don't feel like I make sense unless we introduce Elliot first. So I think maybe you should start, Elliot.
Yeah, so I'm Elliot. I am the showrunner of a little YouTube series called One for All, which is about a trio of like really dysfunctional characters who kind of stumble their way through the Forgotten Realms with the best intentions to help people, but they usually just make every single situation they find themselves in significantly worse. And so in the show, we're cutting between the tabletop and the fantasy. So the players around the table kind of like coming up with a crazy plan and then rolling a really bad dice roll. And then we see the antics play out in the fantasy world. And so Fall is one of the characters on the show.
Hi, I play Nixie, which is the pyromaniac tiefling woman child on the show. Like she's very fun, very chaotic. And yeah, like I really enjoy being pink all the time. I mean, as you can see, I've got all the pink.
I was gonna mention when you got into the call, I'm like very on brand. I love it.
Honestly, I'm not sure what came first, like if Nixie came first or like if I was always gonna like engage in like the pink like aesthetic, because like pink's fun. I spent way too long in my childhood just bashing pink because it was a girl's color, and now I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna embrace pink. It's a cute color.
It's a good color. It's a great color. It only would have been better if I just realized I'm the only one that doesn't have pink around him. Like Elliot, you got like a salmon pink or something shirt on. Like
I tried to dress for the occasion.
You know, I feel so underdressed now.
Quick, we have time. We can do
We'll leave this part in though, chat. You're just gonna wait until I get back. That's actually a good point because I forgot to mention it early on in the last episode. Hello, this is a pre-recorded episode. You are living in the awesome future where Nixie is already in the game and we're in the sad past where she isn't. So we're gonna be talking today about Nixie, the One for All, and all of the fun production stuff with it. Because this is I've really enjoyed. Like I know this is only the second one that we've done, but I really like this. That we got like person that writes, person that plays. Like this is a fun way to talk about a character, especially a new champion. So in case folks didn't see the last Idle Insights for Antreus, what is One for All? Like you gave that quick little description of it, but like who are the people that we're following there?
So the show is about Antreus, Nixie, and Evandra. So you've got like your classic kind of bard character, your pyromaniac tiefling sorcerer, and then your crazy fighter who just wants to hit everything. So they're all just running around the Forgotten Realms, and they're kind of like led or like under the supervision of the dungeon master, who's kind of like herding these cats and trying to keep them on track as much as possible. And the dungeon master's name is Patrick, played by Kendall Drury.
I actually just I just realized I'm like, I don't think I would have been able to remember what the DM's name was, but now that you said, I'm like, no, now I can hear everyone saying that name. I always in my head just where I was like, that's the DM.
Yeah. I mean, like we just kind of call him the DM because he also plays all the different characters, the NPCs. So it's just like it's hard enough to remember, his name, the actor's name, Kendall. Oh, so hard to remember. And then like all of his crazy fantasy names.
There's a lot of them. Big roster. Well, okay, so before we get into Nixie, I realized I forgot my favorite icebreaker question, and I almost completely missed it. Fall, how did you get into D&D? And then Elliot, we'll have a different question for you afterwards.
Okay, how did I get into D&D? Well, I was actually working, I was about 18 at the time, and I had just kind of dropped out of college, university because of the pandemic. And so I was like working like full-time corporate and but in like a design illustration company.
Okay.
And I had heard about D&D, like, because I was in theater and everything. And so, like, all my, nerdy friends from there were, like, into it and everything like that. And I was like, I want to try it out. Like, it just sounds like playing improv, but, like, crossed with fantasy. Like, I thought it sounded really cool. But as you know, trying to hear anyone else telling you about their games, especially when you don't know D&D, it's, like, one of the most boring things to hear.
I have equated it to like a jock telling you about their fantasy football league.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. And so like, I'd have like, guys being like, oh yeah, and then we did this, and then we defeated this, and then we did that. And I'm like, cool.
Okay,
all right.
yeah.
So anyway, when I was at this new job, I ended up meeting two friends, and they were just like, hey, we're actually thinking of starting a new game. But if you want, we want to trial test you out first. We'll let you be part of this other game that's already running, and you can just like kind of slot in there, and then we'll see like how you go at it, and then we can introduce you like to this other campaign that we're setting up. So anyway, I made a character. They helped me. I drew the fan art, everything, and then just started playing with these guys. And then that campaign that we started ended up going for about 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, like it's not a huge part of my life that I've been in D&D, especially because I think younger me didn't really love fantasy, and so like I kind of avoided it out of like, oh, I don't like fantasy. Like I didn't watch like Lord of the Rings growing up or anything. That wasn't my household. But yeah, as I've gotten older and as I've been able to meet more and more people, it's like, oh, like they get to fill me in on what their childhood was like, and so it's actually really nice because now it's like I had my own childhood, but now I get to experience everyone else's for like the second time. So yeah,
I just
I love
given me
it.
a completely new outlook on life. Like
Oh, really?
No, because like I didn't get into D&D until I was in like my early 20s, and like there's been so many times like, man, I wish I'd played D&D in high school or middle school or something like that, and I
mean, you say that, but then you realize that the kids that did got bullied. So
well, it's not just that. The kids I hung out with wouldn't have played.
So it's like, as like I was a kid, like I was a nerdy kid. I did like I watched anime and like I dressed up, I did cosplay. Like I was one of the only kids that took like mufti and costume day at school seriously. So like I'd show up in like the wigs and the makeup and all that sort of stuff. So like, I had my fair share of being that kid, but like I didn't exactly get to experience like that aspect of nerd culture. And so like I was really excited, totally got into it. And yeah, now I've been playing it ever since. It's only been very briefly periods of time where I haven't been playing D&D, and usually it's because of like, people not being able to, match up.
The dreaded schedule.
Match up their schedules and everything like that. So yeah.
The greatest enemy to any campaign. It's not the big bad evil guy, it's the schedules.
Yeah. I think that's the part that probably makes me miss not doing it in like when I was younger, because then it's like at least when you're younger, like your schedule is set. So it's like, all right, I'll just do it on Friday nights with my friend down the street. But yeah.
No, like in Stranger Things, where it's just like, we've only been playing for 6 hours. I'm like, man, that would have been awesome. I had nothing to do.
You play for 6 hours now, and everyone's like, oh, I got work in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
Or I need to, like,
6 hours. I'm like,
my
back's starting to get a little
sitting still too long.
Okay, so Elliot, this was a question prompted earlier before we started recording. Well, who was your first D&D character?
So my first D&D character, I would have mentioned in the previous episode.
Who knows? That was so long ago for us.
Yeah,
definitely wasn't yesterday.
But yeah, we were playing at Eva's house, who plays Evandra on the show, and that was the first time we'd ever played D&D together, and it was just like, you know, like a wine and cheese night. Like it was just supposed to be fun and like stupid, not take it too seriously for a one shot. And so we got these like pre-made characters. And mine was named like Threathar or something. And it was a Tabaxi rogue.
Okay.
And you know, as you kind of go, you improvise an entire backstory for these pre-made characters, and it ended up with my character. Like halfway through, somebody like saw the back of my neck and saw that there was like a mysterious like zipper there.
What?
Oh, I remember this story.
What?
So it was actually just a fursuit the whole time, and that was the start of how cursed that character ended up being at the end.
Okay.
Wait, was that your decision for it to be a suit, or was that the DM's decision for that to be a suit?
That was mine, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I like that. That is the long con that it was in a one shot, and I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, it's just the perfect kind of breeding ground for just go to the extreme, take it to 110%.
Especially in a one shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing with improvisation, is that it's just so much meant to be like a yes and.
Oh yeah.
Like take anything that you can get and then go, okay, how can we make this more fun? Like how can we continue with this? Like that's what I love about D&D, is just that kind of like, oh, okay, you wanna use this highly flammable barrel of, you know, alcohol or whatever, and you want to roll it into the horde of orcs. Sure, let's see how you do. You let the dice decide. That's the fun part.
Definitely one of my favorite like templates of things I say as a DM is, you want to do what to the
Yeah, you can certainly try.
You can certainly try. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here today to talk about Nixie. Which one of you wants to describe Nixie?
I mean, I guess I've spent a bunch of time as Nixie, so I guess this sort of falls in my wheelhouse.
So who is Nixie?
Who is Nixie? Nixie is someone. Do we want to go clinical, or do we want to go fun about this? How do we want to approach this question?
Either way you want.
Okay. On the surface, Nixie comes across as a very naive, immature, but like mostly like really fun-loving and joyful person. However, like a lot of her joy just comes from burning things. And so, like, you know, the way that I kind of see Nixie is that, you know, she had a very stunted, emotionally stunted childhood. And so that's kind of led into like her being the person that she is now. But I think what I also just love about Nixie is just the fact that she's just got like boundless like just energy and positivity, like even though it's not necessarily like for the greater good. Like it's just like you can burn down this whole entire village by yourself, like go girl, like you can do it. It's very much like that kind of like, nobody can stop me because I'm powerful and I want to have fun. Which I think is a really interesting character. Like you don't see a lot of them, and especially you don't see a lot of female characters that are kind of fit that sort of like niche. I think the only other two I can kind of think of would be like Harley Quinn or like Jinx from League of Legends. So it's like I do love that kind of manic energy, but like also just like that femininity like interspersed between the destruction and chaos. Like so it's just, I don't know, I find it really fun. I think it's definitely like a villain arc era type like character to play.
So from a writer standpoint, how would you describe Nixie as the same?
Yeah, I mean, like it's a kind of a character that works perfectly in like, you know, pre-written sketch comedy, because like trying to play Nixie in a live play, like, you know, actually at a table, she tends to just kind of completely go off the rails.
It would be
from
called
the get-go.
derailment the game.
Honestly, this is one of the reasons why like it's really hard to actually play Nixie as a D&D character in a game of D&D, because it's like, okay, how true to the character do I stay, in the sense of like, she wouldn't follow the rules, she wouldn't follow like the campaign that the DM's trying to set out, like she's gonna do whatever the hell she wants. And so it's like, as a player, where I'm just like, no, I respect the DM and I care about making a fun game for everyone. It's just like, those are not conducive. So it's kind of just like, all right, yeah. So it's like, as a for a sketch comedy,
yeah,
it's so much fun.
And Elliot, I heard that this was based on, that Nixie was based on a actual character. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so at this this ill-fated game of D&D at Eva's house.
Oh, it was the same one.
The same one, yes.
Gosh.
So it was Goldie's character. Goldie is our producer and cinematographer at One for All and Deerstalker Pictures.
Insanely talented.
Yes, and she made this character that was basically like a fire sorcerer, and would just like to burn things because of course that's kind of a great first time D&D player trope to go for. So we just kind of like took that energy and we kind of turned it up to 11 for when we actually wrote Nixie into the first sketch.
I've never seen what Nixie was like before she was transformed into like kind of what we see today. So I actually have no idea what the original like pyromaniac tiefling or like pyromaniac sorcerer was like before she became Nixie to me.
Look, they're very different. But I think that's a good thing, because it's like we took the foundation of this character and we kind of passed it on to you, Fall, and like you sort of brought this character to life and like kind of like made it like a lot more like multifaceted than just like, I mean, there is definitely like Nixie burn things, but I think there's a little bit more going on in there when you play it.
I think I remember for my audition for it as well, because I did like a recorded audition. I actually, because like it was the first scene where we introduced Nixie, the first skit, and so it was that monologue of like, hi, I'm Nixie and I like burning things. And then there was like a point where I had to like mock burning children and mock a burning wife, and I don't know why it came out this way, but I ended up using an old voice that my abuela, because she used to be in theater, and whenever she would put on like voices and stuff, like she would tell me stories and put on these voices, and I ended up using some of those voices in the audition because I was just like, I don't know, it just felt right. And I don't know if we ended up using the voices for the actual take anyway, but yeah, it was really nice to also just kind of bring in some of my grandmother and, and awesome. Kind of into the audition as well. But yeah, I think that kind of like that manic kind of like, oh, I'm cute and I don't care kind of like energy kind of came in.
I've just imagined in my head someone in the chat right now that just heard mocking burning children and wife. And
they're like, no idea.
And they've never seen the show. They're like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, we mock children who were burning. So you should probably go check out like this horrible like first session that we played. Yeah, definitely check it out. Like, because you need to see it.
You need
to believe it.
Yeah.
Look, I think they kind of get away with all of the horrible things that the party do, just based on the fact that it is like Patrick, the DM, who's acting out these people. So it's really just them not mocking the burning children, so to speak, but mocking Patrick, the dungeon master.
Oh yeah,
it's the disrespect for the dungeon master that lets them get away with it.
Oh gosh, yeah, that the first episode is fantastic, because I mean the down to like Nixie just staring into the flame, completely checked out of the conversation until addressed, like, oh yeah, no, I'm here.
And I think those were real candles too, and I was just having actual fun there. I was like, being like, If I put my glove in it, is it gonna burn?
Well, considering the discussion we were having before taping of how much of the production crew has ADHD, that does not surprise me. That sounds very on point.
Yeah, look, in our experience, like low budget filmmaking, like so much of a good performance is just good casting. So you know, we we got Tom to be anxious. We got Fall to be the person who burns everything.
Yeah.
Well, so I wanted to ask, like, what was there direction in the script for like, you know, the way that Nixie was kind of like, you know, I don't know how to say it, like the way that she talked or anything like that, or did you
The
just kind of
lisp?
well, that, I mean, that's part of it too. Like I heard that was intentional, because there was like discussion about that in the team beforehand. It's like, no, that is actually intentional. It's not because of the fake teeth or anything.
Yeah, I mean, like the good thing is that I don't need the teeth in order to do like Nixie's voice. But the thing is, we found that when I did put the teeth in, it required me to enunciate a lot more in order to get around the having teeth in my mouth. And we found this with every actor that's had to like put in prosthetic teeth and stuff like that, is that, you know, it's difficult to talk the same way that you have your entire life when there's something in your mouth.
Yeah.
So that's gonna go out of context real quick.
Chat, be cool.
Yeah. Be cool, chat, be cool, I'm watching. But yeah, so like it kind of naturally kind of sat there, and then it was like, oh, actually, let's just lean into this, because like already like the first day that we were like doing makeups and all that sort of stuff, like there was a bit of like play testing as well. Like we're kind of seeing like what worked, what didn't. And I actually gave her a gap tooth, so I put like black tooth makeup like in the middle of my two front teeth. And that's actually something I had as a kid. I had a huge gap tooth as a kid.
Oh,
and
really?
so I was just like, all right, well, if we're trying to make it look childish, a good way to do that is big eyes, freckles, and a gap in the tooth. Like that can kind of, you know, give that childish sort of look to her. And then I just with the teeth and then the kind of natural lisp that was happening, it was just like, oh yeah, no, we gotta lean into this. Like if we're gonna try and make her like as childish, naive, immature as possible, then yeah, like it just kind of all added to the character.
And part of that character is for the screen is the like, you're completely pink. And so how long does that take to do that?
Initially, because like we designed our first costumes for season 1, and what I didn't keep in mind was how much skin I was exposing. And so then for like would have to be painted. So one way I worked around that was I had a sleeveless like crop like top halter neck, but I did bandages and then kind of just made that part of her story. So then with each subsequent costume change that we've done, because we've had so when we've had Eva then making my subsequent costumes, we've kind of worked to make less and less skin available so that I don't have to spend as much time. But before we had a makeup artist, it took me about 3 hours to get fully into costume. And then since we brought in the makeup artist, Jen, she's been amazing. We've gotten it down to about an hour and a half. So and that's like the full costume. So it's just it's been a process to get it cut down and very succinct in how we do it.
But we have done like over 30 episodes now, so it's it's a well-oiled machine. And
it's a well-oiled machine. It really is.
I think you guys get it faster and faster every single time.
I think we do. And also just like because like there are sometimes like things like I added so many details to the face, like I did add the freckles, I added the tooth and the all this and that, and I also do very elaborate eye makeup for her eyes, just because like I love using color, and I think it also just makes her look really cool. And she's already a colorful character. Like, why not make her more colorful? You know.
And the content, those are completely black, right?
Yes, they're actually very easy to have in
Wow.
They're probably the part of my costume everyone's like, oh my god, that must be horrible. And I'm like, actually, I think I hate the false lashes more than I do
Oh, really?
the contacts.
I've never worn contacts. Like just seeing someone go like this, I'm like, no, I don't. So like I have no context for how it goes.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. So like anytime that there's a new actor that comes in that needs to do eye contact, like usually I end up getting a message from them at some point, like the night before, just being like, so I'm wearing contacts for the first time, and do you have any tips to help me put them in? And I'm just like, look, be patient. Patience is the key. You cannot get frustrated with it, otherwise it's just going to go worse.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. So, and well, the last episode we were talking about entries, like one of the things I was gushing about was the costuming for like the whole thing, and finding out that you all did the costuming for like so much of so many things in the show just completely blew me away, because I didn't know about the cosplay background to Deerstalker, and like that makes so much sense and is a fantastic way to show off the skill, because really all the outfits are absolutely fantastic.
A lot of credit, especially for Nixie's subsequent costumes, goes to Eva DeVore. She's been taking over. She took over my costumes from season 2 to season 5, 6. Gosh, where are we at now?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
5.
cool. So there to 5. And yeah, no, I really have loved the costumes that we've had going on through that. Yeah, because I made the first one, and like I didn't exactly make it to survive a very long amount of time, because like I am a cosplayer. Like I make costumes for conventions, and then like afterwards you make some minor repairs and maybe you can wear it again, and then, you know, after 3 or 4 wears it's like, okay, it's done, it's retired. But we were continually filming, and so like my pants were falling apart, and then like other parts were falling apart, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'm not educated enough to be able to know how to like do this part of it, like to make long lasting costumes. So then passed it on, and I've been really happy about it as well. It also means that I can focus more on the acting aspects of the show as well, which, you know, to be fair, is like the actual role I'm playing there. So
We've also had like, sorry,
no, you go ahead.
We've also like, you've had some elements that have kind of survived since season 1 all the way through. Like, there have
been some elements that I was like, I've never made them before. Like I never made horns before, and I never made a bracer before. And I made the horns out of foam, first time ever making them. They are still lasted till this day. Like the makeup artist Jen transplants my horns to each new wig, because the wigs don't survive, but the horns have. And then the other one is the bracer, which again I'm really surprised about, because it's literally just foam with leather stuck to the top of it with like contact cement, and it's lasted for so long, and I'm just like, well, maybe I'm not so bad. Maybe I'm not so shabby.
I will say, like the horns. I was rewatching some of the episodes recently, and the one that stood out for the horns for me was the one the split the party one, where Nixie did his whole life story with that, and there was a close up where like you're in the bed looking like the old lady, and there was like one of the closest shots for the horns, and I literally just stood there like they've got like levels to them and edges in it. It looks fantastic.
I looked up one tutorial, I think on YouTube, and then I followed that tutorial, like I think like a couple of weeks, or like maybe a week or so before we were meant to be doing our first episode. And I was just like, all right, well, if this turns out badly, I mean, we're probably only going to be making one episode anyway, so it's not a big deal. But then we ended up keep going, because it just got such a good reception, and like people loved it, and we were just like, well, we like making it, so
there we go.
And then the horns just survived. So there we go.
Adamantium horns. Who knows?
I put so much Mod Podge on those things.
Okay, so I realized I gotta figure out something else for Elliot, so I'm gonna direct this one to Fall now. So you all have done quite a few episodes. I mean, you all just wrapped up season 5, and you even have the shorts that are coming out. By the way, it still messes with me that Tom was that goo goblin. I literally after that interview, I went out to my wife, put on that video, and went, that's Antreus. And she's, no. It messed with me for a bit.
That's like all cosplayers are chameleons. Like, you know, you go to a convention, you're like, somebody waves at you, you're like, oh my god, I haven't seen you in forever, and you're like, I have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the biggest transformation I ever did was when I cosplayed Murdoch from Gorillaz, the band. And like I went up to friends and like my voice hasn't changed, and I was just like, hey, and they were like, hi, who are you?
How dare you talk to me?
And they're like, oh fuck.
Now imagine your voice coming out of Murdoch.
Honestly, like I still love Gorillaz, so I want to cosplay it again. But
that was the first CD I bought when I got a car. Like I went into the record store and I'm just like, Gorillaz, Demon Days done.
Oh my god, I've got one of their records on vinyl, one of their later ones.
I had it and then it got destroyed. Yeah, I know, it got me. But my question was, Fall, do you have a favorite episode?
Oh,
see, the other day I had Elliot pick his favorite child.
Gosh, favorite episode. It's actually kind of hard because there have been so many different episodes that like stand out to me. Like the Witch Beyond,
Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Wild Beyond the Witchlight, yes, that one was really fun. I also loved my Jester.
The Jester outfit was
again,
so good.
Yeah, again made by Eva DeVore, like just beautiful piece. And also like it's really exciting that that also introduced another costume element to Nixie's like actual costume as well. So that was really cool. Gosh, favorite episode. Honestly, I think it feels like such a cop out every time I say it, but I loved filming the musical. I loved filming it. It was so much fun. It was the longest shoot we ever did for a singular episode. It was 3 days, I think, spread out like over 3 or 4 days. Few different places as well, like absolutely like far away from each other, as like so the cuts that you see from us, like going from like, you know, underground basement area to then like, you know, inside like a cool like area, like completely different areas, completely different days. Like it was just amazing. And it was probably like the point where I was just like, oh shit, this is big. Like, because like before this, like it was like 1 day, 1 episode, and this was also I think when we first got our like first big batch of funding as well. So we were actually playing with a bit more money. We actually could like experiment a bit more as well. So I think that was the turning point for, I would say, like my experience in this show, where I was just like, oh dang, this is really cool. This is actually going, like this is getting good. This is getting really big. Like this is amazing. Like it was already good. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
It's getting out there. I'm like, oh shit, like this is sick.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm surprised to hear that's your favorite one, because like shooting that, you guys were filthy.
We were filthy. We were cold. But honestly, like seeing the finished product, you can't help but feel proud.
Yeah.
And I like that's how I feel about it. It's just like I feel like that's just such a cool representation of like what we're capable of, like if you give us money. I mean, like that's it. At the end of the day, it's just like you can be as talented as heck, but unless you've got the resources to actually like bring your dreams to fruition, it's just like no, this was really sick. And it was everyone put in so much into that episode.
It looked like it. It genuinely did. Like everyone in that was just like you could tell that everyone's giving it their all.
Yeah, like it was a hard shoot, and I remember like at the end of each day, I felt so bad for like working the crew so hard that I was like, all right, I need to go home. Like we've already been working like 12-13 hours, but I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna edit the footage into like what it's going to look like each scene at the end of each day, so I could show them the next morning and be like, guys,
this is what we're doing.
It's hard, but it's so cool.
And that's the thing, is like
That's
every
so
night we would
good.
go home, and then like we'd like, you know, I would have to like absolutely steam all the paint off me and dirt and everything. And so then by the time I'd get out, and then I would like see that there was already a notification from like Elliot just being like, hey, I've put together the stuff that we shot today. And it was just like, oh crap, like just being able to get such instant feedback and like see how it's coming together. And it's just like, it makes you excited to be like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do tomorrow. We're gonna make this thing like even better. And it's just, yeah, like it was really fun. I really enjoyed that time.
I love that. Elliot, I really do love that you did that, because yeah, like that's just showing like how awesome it is in that moment. It's not left there wondering for however long. It was just like, oh, did we do a good job on that? Like, it's like, no, look, you all look freaking awesome right now.
Well, I mean, I also had that same question. So it was as much
a little
for me.
selfish. That's fair.
Well, you
That's
know,
fair.
us creators, we're fragile creatures.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we need a constant supply of like compliments and like motivation to keep us going. Because like,
yeah, like we're getting out of bed at 4 or 5 a.m. each day. So
oh, there was some. I think even one morning, I think filming that season, I had to get up at like 3 a.m. in the morning just to start my makeup before we started filming. And it was
like why even go to sleep?
Honestly.
Oh,
yeah.
3 a.m. That's like my worst enemy.
Luckily, it's not a common occurrence. It's usually just like we're getting up at around like what, 5, 6.
Yeah, I mean, like we could definitely go earlier, but when people are tired on set, it's
it's evident.
Yeah, you can tell when somebody's not slept.
Yeah.
Okay, so Elliot, my question for you on this one is, and it's okay if one doesn't stand out. I'm asking it off the cuff right now, which is like, is there an episode that comes to mind that ended up being so much better than you thought it was going to, like, even as you guys were making it, like you got it all together and you're like, this is way better than I thought it could be?
Look, we've had a few, like, I would say, like, horrendous shoots where, like, not for any like other reasons.
Expression.
I mean, like,
no, I think that's just the trauma flashback. Like, not because of like any one thing. It's just like, where it's a film set.
Yeah,
something goes wrong, everything else goes wrong as a result.
And it starts raining.
Yeah, so like during season 3, we were shooting in like the mountains, in an old like church that had been kind of like retrofitted to be like an Airbnb, but no reception, hardly any power. We're outside, and then suddenly there's like torrential rain. It was a night shoot as well, so it's like you're already
lights just highlight the raindrops and everything.
Yeah, like you already don't want to be there when it's like 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it starts pouring, and you're just kind of like, all right, well, it's getting closer to 3. It's getting closer to 3:30.
Oh,
are we gonna keep shooting? And so it's like that was a really like horrendous shoot to be on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just because of that, everybody kind of like they dug deep, and especially Fall, like it was her last shot of the night or of the early morning.
I think it was the turnaround when we shot my scenes, and also the scenes that Andres and Andra were in. Yeah,
so this would have been you like tied to the stake as the paladin is like threatening to
that episode.
That one.
My gosh.
So you can see that it's raining at some stages. We had like the camera under a marquee, and so it's just like every so often you'll just maybe see like a bit of downpour in the corner as like the marquee floods on top. But Fall, like last take of the night of a long shoot, and she just gets tied to that stake and just does like one of the best, like most focused performances I've ever seen from her. Like just digging deep and just like, we have to get this done. We have to get it through it.
I think I even said to you guys, I'm just like, don't cut the cameras, don't stop, just let me keep going. Like I will go through each of my scenes because like, it cuts back and forth like between like, me talking, another person talking, and I'm just like, don't stop, don't tell me the lines, don't nothing. Let me just get it over and done with, because I can tell everyone he wants to just go home. And if I'm the person here stuffing up, like, I'm gonna upset everyone. And because we'd done all the other scenes, I pretty much knew my lines like top, bottom, like inside out. So I was like, all right, cool, this is fine, just keep them rolling. I will do everything I can to make sure this is as quick as possible. And yeah, like, I mean, like I genuinely had a lot of fun that shoot day as well. Like, I mean, I was on my medications, meaning that like I had boundless amounts of energy, because I think it was like we started shooting at like 12 or something. It was like it was late at night when we started shooting, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take 3 of my dexamphetamines and then just like let's go. Else was like tired, and I'm like, let's party, let's have some drinks.
Oh jeez, that really does show like the magic of the stuff, because I mean, I never would have guessed that, 1, it was raining during that, or 2, that it was a rough shoot, because that's just a fantastic episode. It cracked me up, and would never have guessed there was all of those problems.
Yeah, I mean, you see like the bloopers as well, and then there's just like people like having fun. I think I'm even singing in the rain at one point, like right at the beginning. Like,
oh wait, yeah, it is raining it during the bloopers in that one.
Yeah,
That's
so these
funny.
guys are all just like, laughing around, singing. Meanwhile, I'm like in the corner, just like pulling my hair out. Just, I hope we can get through this today.
The true director.
Yeah, no, I really feel for Elliot during filming, because like a lot of the time, like actors, we're just like, okay, just like say our lines, give the performance, redo it. Like it's a lot of that. But yeah, I feel like for Elliot, so much of it is just like, okay, like this shot, we got to make sure we get that shot, we got to make sure we get this angle, we got to get that, and we're just there just being like, I did the thing, I'm done, I'm good. Give me pats on the head, please.
Yeah, like, but I mean, you guys still have to do like so much prep work, like leading up to the day. So not to discount all of that goes into it, but on the day, it's just very much just like, okay, and full action.
Yeah. Don't forget your lines.
I mean, I know what you mean to some extent, because like, I've done streaming, I've done like producing and all that stuff with it, and anytime I get to go into a stream as like just a D&D player, I'm just like, I don't got to worry about overlays or transitions, I just got to roll some dice.
Yeah, exactly.
So I love getting all this info about the behind the scenes stuff in the show. I love behind the scenes stuff in general, so this is great for me.
Me too. I'm so curious. What's happening? Tell me everything.
No, we stopped telling you what's going wrong, so you guys are just like living in bliss.
Okay, Fall. You talked a little bit at the beginning about getting into D&D and stuff like that, but do you play any characters that are like Nixie? Like, not to the full extent, as we said, like that's a hard thing to bring to a table and not instantly derail.
Honestly, my characters are very different. So like currently the characters I'm playing are basically I had the idea of like, what would it be like to play someone who was a terrorist, who now living in the society that they once tried to destroy. And so this setting is Ravnica. So I'm playing a rogue who specializes in bombs and traps. So like that's the character I'm playing in that. The name's Cimarron, completely just like monotone.
Are they House Demir?
Very serious. Pardon?
Are they House Demir?
No, but they are being courted by House Demir, because they were actually originally they were part of a terrorist group called the Purple Hand, who worked under the Boros, because the Boros wanted to get more power in different regions, and so they would send out this group of basically children to create chaos, so that then they could step in and be like, we're helping, we're taking care.
That's wild.
Yeah, so
I love Ravnica, so I was like, I gotta know.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have a good conversation about this afterwards. But yeah, so basically, I'm playing that character. So they're actually guildless at the moment and being courted by the Demir to be part of them, but they're just like, I don't trust guilds, like
Sure.
anarchy. Actually, let's destroy all guilds. So that's one of my characters. So yeah, there's a little bit of chaos, but very different demeanor than Nixie. And then another character I'm playing is Kovu, who is a divination wizard who divinates through foodstuffs. And so like, and she's not like all there. She's had stuff happen to her in her past where basically she's half the person that she used to be. But you know, and she divinates through foodstuffs by like taking your plate of food, throwing it on the ground, and then divinating a future through it. So like it's a really silly character. But yeah, I don't tend to play characters exactly like Nixie. I really love my like characters.
Yeah.
Where
That's
it's
fair.
like, okay, I'm gonna give them some very strong traits and then just like see how I go with like enacting that out.
I like that. I do also like the idea of this divination wizard just shoving food on the floor and say, "You're going to be hungry."
Yeah. Or like you're gonna find it hard to shit later because I see no fiber on this plate.
Okay, Elliot, your question for this one, because I heard a little bit before recording. Tell me about your second character.
My second character. Well, so I wanted to play a warlock who was like from an ancient civilization that had kind of been like buried underground, and he had been like the last kind of vessel for this ancient eldritch being, which was his otherworldly patron. And there's a suburb that we were driving past that we were trying to like figure out a name for this character, and I just like look out the window and I just see this hotel called the Annandale Hotel. And so from there, you know how you have to like make everything sound like fantasy.
You got to
just
put an
pronounce
apostrophe in there somewhere.
yeah, like the little double dots above the E.
Yeah.
You know? yeah. And so that ended up being Anandale, who then we got like in the show as a guest character. I think he was our first guest character. And that was played by Sam Wade. So I actually got Sam Wade, who's this really funny comedian here in Sydney, to act out my D&D character for me and make him even funnier than I
What a
could have ever
dream.
played him.
I know, right? It's just like,
What
yeah,
a
get one of your
dream.
favorite comedians to act out your D&D character.
Yeah,
Like, is this an abuse of power? I don't know.
But like also, isn't this basically what writers do? Like they're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write a character and I'm gonna have Brad Pitt play it.
Maybe. So I have to ask though. So for folks who haven't see the show, Annandale is one of the most over the top characters that I instantly fell in love with, just for the ridiculousness. Did you play him at all like that, or was that something that you and the actor came up with?
I did play him in the similar way that he's played, albeit like a little bit more respectful to the other players and the DM. But definitely Sam was very instrumental in kind of like bringing that character to life in the way that you see him today. And like, you know, he came up with like, you know, the almost Matt Berry like voice, and the way that he'll just kind of like pronounce things strangely and like almost like half scream a single syllable of a word. And also he came up with the way that he says Anandale. Yeah, that sing-song voice is very much his.
He's such a fun person to work with as well. Like he's very much a yes and kind of
that's great.
person as well. Like just so excited to just kind of up the ante, make things more ridiculous, make it more fun. Yeah.
There was legitimately a point, like, the night after I watched that episode, where I was just walking through my house, and I just heard in the back of my head, Annandale, and I just stopped and laughed to myself quietly. Yeah, the Eldritch God was in there. Yeah, no, yeah. But that I love that was a character that you had. That's so good.
Well,
unfortunately, we're hitting towards the end of our time on this. I know we're at the 50-minute mark, and I don't want the two owners who have a show after this to get mad at me. So, if people want to find either of you on the interwebs and what you do, where could they do so?
So you can find us at Deerstalker Pictures and follow One for All. Otherwise, I'm at Technotropism on Instagram. Fall.
You can find me at Full Cosplay on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, like all those
things.
All those things. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I have a friend that says that it's the Twittergrams.
Yeah. I think on Twitter though, I think I've got a Full Cosplay 1, and I think it's because I made an account when like I first started Full Cosplay, like, and then I forgot the password, which
that happens
obviously. So yeah, it's Full Cosplay 1 now.
Well, thank you both for taking the time to talk with me today about Nixie. I'm so excited for her to be in the game.
Me too.
And again,
play
chat, you're already there. Like you don't know how good you have it right now. Seriously, we don't get to have the chaotic fireballs and idol champions yet, but you do. Yeah. So be sure to check out Nixie in game, unlock her, and there's some cool, fun stuff in the store that you might want to see as well. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of Idol Insight. So until next week, take care of yourself.